Oil prices surged to their highest level since October as investors evaluate global fuel demand amid the winter season. Inflation has eased, but experts predict that food prices are likely to stay elevated. And Apple agrees to pay out $95 million to settle a lawsuit alleging Siri eavesdropped on users without consent. Hello, I'm Toba Aydin with the latest business and finance news here on TRT World. Oil prices hovered at their highest since October on Monday as investors eyed the impact on global fuel demand from colder weather in the Northern Hemisphere and Beijing's economic stimulus measures. Brent crude futures rose 0.2% to $76.66 a barrel after settling on Friday at its highest since mid-October. Meanwhile, US West Texas Intermediate crude gained 0.3% at $74.18, marking the sixth consecutive session of gains. The rise was buoyed by expectations of more stimulus in China, the world's largest crude importer. Beijing is cranking up fiscal stimulus to revitalize the faltering economy, while the central bank outlined a moderately loose monetary plan aimed at boosting domestic demand to spur growth. For more, we're joined by Josh Mahoney in London. He's Chief Market Analyst at Scope Markets. Good to have you back on the programme, Josh. Now, oil prices have been boosted by expectations of more stimulus in China. Can we expect a further increase as demand rises in the world's top crude importer?
Yeah, certainly oil's been one of the big outperformers of late. And certainly this comes as we kick off a year that is expected to be dominated by pro-growth strategies, whether it comes from central banks with looser monetary policy, whether it comes from governments. And certainly China is going to be at the forefront of that. Of course, there's this push to essentially get them towards that 5% target when it comes to growth. There's question marks about whether they're going to be moving beyond that. But certainly the energy markets, considering the fact that we have seen this pop of late when it comes to oil prices, you know, there's going to be likely some profit taking coming into play before too long. Bear in mind, you know, we're sort of in the mid part of a range that's been dominated for 2 years now. So whether we're going to sort of move up to the pricier end of it, that remains to be seen.
Now, staying in China, the People's Bank of China says it will moderately loosen its monetary policy. Will this be enough to spur growth?
Well, like I said, I think there's big focus on this sort of move to get them back towards their growth target, right? It's not necessarily moving beyond that. And so I think there's going to be limits to it. There's question marks about exactly when we're going to get all of the details fleshed out. And I think that there's going to be some hesitancy to do so before Donald Trump comes into power, because, of course, there's major question marks behind that and exactly what things are going to look like once Donald Trump comes in and starts to impose tariffs on China. But nonetheless, we're certainly at a point in time where we've already seen a lot from the likes of the PBOC and the Chinese government, and there's an expectation that they will continue to be supportive, and this could be a pivotal year when it comes to turning around the Chinese economy, and certainly that's going to be key for other markets, whether it's the oil market, like we've alluded to previously, or whether it's currencies such as, say, the Australian dollar or New Zealand dollar, which are heavily reliant on Chinese demand.
And looking ahead, the oil market's outlook for this year remains uncertain. What's your expectations?
We keep seeing OPEC pushing back on that planned rise in terms of output. Certainly at some point that's likely to come into the fore, so that's going to be a key part of it. I do think that there's going to be likely some optimism going forward. I know that there's going to be a lot of jitters around trade relations when Donald Trump comes into power, and certainly anyone that sort of worked through that period and followed the markets through that period where he was in his first term will know that we're going to see a lot of talk about trade wars, and that's certainly going to throw some jitters up around growth. But I do think we're likely to see a move higher towards the top end of the range. Over the last 2 years, we've seen WTI trading between 64 and 84. We're currently at 74. So I do think there is a sort of room for maneuver to get towards the top end of that range.
All right, Josh Mahoney, we will have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your analysis. Now, over the past 2 years, global inflation has shown signs of easing. Fuel, used cars and energy prices have all dropped, offering some relief to consumers. But there's one area where the pressure remains, and that's food. Prices at the grocery store continue to climb. For the last 5 years, food prices have surged globally by 28%, outpacing inflation and putting a strain on households everywhere. Just weeks before stepping into the White House, President-elect Donald Trump admitted that bringing down grocery prices may be a tough challenge. A 2024 survey by American marketing company R.R. Donnelley says over 85% of consumers are frustrated with rising food costs. More than a third of them are cutting back, buying fewer items or opting for cheaper alternatives to make ends meet. For many, the days of filling up the trolley without a second thought are long gone. Experts warn that political factors like tariffs and immigration policies are only making the problem worse. Changes in the workforce could drive prices even higher, making it difficult to predict where food prices will go next. For more, we're joined by Vicky Price in London. She's a board member at the Centre for Economics and Business Research. Welcome back to the programme, Vicky. Now, what specific factors are causing food prices to remain elevated, even as overall inflation declines?
Well, it's international forces really that are affecting it a little bit, as you've just been discussing about oil prices. There's been a series for some time now, so it's not the first year this has happened, talking about 2024 and 2023, of course, right now, where we had bad harvests, we had floods, we had drought. And it's interesting to see that the impact has been in a wide range of commodities. More recently, people have been worried about coffee prices, which are going up, and also cocoa prices, and affecting regions which have been hit by drought and bad weather as wide apart as Brazil and Vietnam, for example. So all those are pushing prices up. But I think we need to bear in mind that although prices are going up again now, December figures internationally have shown a slight decline, but nevertheless, they've been going up in the last few months. They're still way lower than they were just a couple of years ago. And if you look at 2021, we're more or less where we were pre-pandemic. So we don't want to panic too much, but nevertheless, there have been a number of forces which suggest that, in fact, food prices may stay elevated. It's not just the wars, supply chain issues and so on that are there, but also diseases, eggs in particular, where Asian flu, bird flu has affected the production there as well. So there's a combination of factors that have kept prices up recently. But overall, yes, much higher than 2019, but back again to pre-pandemic levels.
And US President-elect Donald Trump has said it will be tough to bring down grocery prices. Why is it so hard?
Well, one of the things, of course, that President-elect Trump may do is make it much harder to get workers to work on the farms. And I think it's one of the issues that are worrying farmers in the US right now. So that's one of the problems there. The other one, of course, the US produces quite a lot of farm food itself and can be self-sustained, but nevertheless, there is still quite a lot of imports. And there is a question of what may happen if tariffs are imposed across the board. And that's one of the concerns. The other one is really, what do retailers do? And what do they do about their margins? The interesting thing is that farmers have tended to say, and I think quite rightly, that they sell below cost very often, that the big purchasers are not really paying them sufficiently, even though the farms in the US are bigger in size on average than is the case in places like Europe. Nevertheless, I think there has been a buyer's market, and I think it's now becoming a little bit more of a supplier's one because of some of the shortages, and maybe those margins therefore will stay lower at the retailer end, but it will be more the producers that are going to benefit from some of that. So maybe the tensions are changing, but I think it's going to be hard to see grocery prices really start falling to any significant extent. So I think, I'm afraid, we're stuck with grocery prices being high and therefore affecting quite considerably what the consumer can afford.
All right, Vicky Price, board member at the Centre for Economics and Business Research. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Now, a quick look at some of the other top business stories from around the world. US President Joe Biden has blocked a nearly $15 billion deal for Japan's Nippon Steel to acquire US Steel, citing national security concerns. He emphasized the importance of strong American steelmakers to safeguard national interests. Nippon and US Steel criticized the decision, calling it a violation of due process and are planning to sue. The action has also raised tensions with Japan, a key US ally. South Korean IT company LG CNS is launching an IPO to raise up to $817 million. The offering values the firm at over $3.5 billion, making it one of the year's biggest in the country. LG CNS specializes in IT services, and the IPO proceeds are expected to fuel its expansion in tech innovation. Indonesia has started a $4.3 billion free meal program to tackle stunted growth caused by malnutrition. The government aims to provide nutritious meals to millions of school children and pregnant women. Officials call it a historic step to improve lives and support economic growth. And Disney's Mufasa claimed the top spot at the box office, earning $23.8 million over the weekend. It overtook Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which brought in more than $21 million over 3 days, boosting its total domestic earnings to $187.5 million. Meanwhile, the Sonic franchise has now surpassed $1 billion globally. Apple has agreed to pay $95 million to settle a lawsuit accusing its virtual assistant Siri of secretly recording users. The claimants also allege voice recordings were shared with advertisers without permission. The payout represents a mere 9 hours of profit for the tech giant, which earned nearly $94 billion last year. According to the court documents, each consumer could receive up to $20 per Siri-enabled device owned between 2014 and 2019. Now, 2024 was a year of legal battles for Apple as the tech giant found itself at the center of multiple high-profile class action lawsuits. Apple began paying out $500 million in a lawsuit that accused it of deliberately slowing down older iPhones in the US. This case, stemming from December 2017, confirmed long-held suspicions when Apple admitted to throttling phone performances as devices aged. The company also agreed to a $490 million settlement in a UK class action led by Norfolk County Council. The lawsuit alleged CEO Tim Cook defrauded shareholders by concealing a drop in demand for iPhones in China. And consumer group, which has launched a class action accusing Apple of overcharging British customers for its iCloud service. If successful, the lawsuit could result in a $3.7 billion payout, with each affected customer receiving around $87. For more on this, let's speak with cybersecurity analyst Luigi Nini. He's CEO of Cyber Horus. Good to have you on the program with us, Luigi. Now, what impact could Apple's $95 million settlement have on consumer trust and sales?
Good morning. Apple's recent settlement could have a significant implication for customer trust. The lawsuit accused Apple of secretly activating Siri to record the conversation without user consent. You have to consider that many customers choose Apple products specifically for the company commitment to privacy and security. Some consumers may feel that their data is not adequately protected. They may reconsider the loyalty to the brand and evaluate alternatives. However, in my opinion, Apple has a strong brand, and in the midterm, I don't think we observe a huge impact on the sales.
And could the settlement spark similar lawsuits against other tech giants?
Yes, of course, for different reasons. The main reason is we will observe an increased scrutiny that tech giants, tech companies face regarding their data privacy practices. It also sets a precedent for class actions related to privacy breaches, and it also pushes the evolution of regulatory landscape surrounding data privacy. More individuals in the future can pursue legal actions against companies that they fail to protect their data.
Right, and in this most recent case against Apple in particular, what are the allegations? What has Apple breached?
Okay. Apple allegedly violated several privacy laws, including the Federal Wiretap Act, which prohibits the interception of wire, oral, and electronic communication without consent. There is also a state law, the California Invasion of Privacy Act, that provide protections against unauthorized recording of confidential data. Overall, courts in the US are increasingly recognizing the importance of privacy rights, leading to more favorable rulings for plaintiffs in privacy breach cases against tech giants.
Okay, Pier, Luigi, Paganini, we will have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Turkish exporters achieved another record year in 2024, defying a slowdown in the global economy. Speaking at Turkey's Exporters Assembly meeting in Istanbul, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said shipments abroad increased by 2.5% from the previous year to reach a record $262 billion. The motor sector has remained in the driver's seat, accounting for around 14% of overall exports. Rumeysa Chodar has this report.
The latest export figures has been announced by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. In 2024, Turkey's exports reached to $262 billion, marking 2.5% increase compared to previous year. Once again, automotive sector has made the biggest contributions to export with $37.2 billion, and this sector was followed by the chemicals, ready-to-wear and textile, and another record in exports were broken in 59 countries. The major target markets were in the Europe as well as OIC countries, including Germany, the United Kingdom, Italy, United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia.
Farmers in Kenya are using AI to improve crop production and prevent crop failure. It's hoped the technology might provide a boost to an economy which is heavily reliant on agriculture. Emre Boz has the story.
A technology revolutionizing how these farmers operate. Here in Kenya, this phone app is helping local producers monitor their crops, all in an effort to quickly diagnose plant diseases and pests.
This phone app has made my work so easy. I don't have to go far or look for someone for advice or use any transport money. It's just me in the farm and my phone. Normally, I wake up in the morning before the sun is too hot and survey my farm. This I do twice every week. The phone app shows me how my plants are doing, how they are growing.
The technology developed by the non-profit organization Plant Village offers real-time solutions to crop health issues. It also provides information on land preparation and sourcing seeds. All of this has improved crop output and efficiency for these farmers.
You cannot compare the difference. Before, an acre would produce only 5 bags of cassava. Most were wilted or diseased, but using the modern technology that I have been using, 1 acre can now produce 200 or 250 bags.
Agriculture is one of the most important sectors of the Kenyan economy. It has stayed within the 4.8% to 7.8% range in the past 2 years.
49% of the AIs being deployed in Africa are based on agriculture. And the reason why we are focusing on agriculture is because of the increased population and also the challenges that are being brought by climate change. You will see that there's a lot of pests and diseases that are emerging and are affecting our crops.
Analysts say that Africa needs an annual investment of $77 billion to enhance its farming practices and improve agricultural supply chains. The country is reliant on local farmers who typically work on less than 2-acre farms. But these small fields are just some of the many that produce 80% of food consumed in Africa. With much of the population still lacking in modern farming resources and technology, the importance of AI apps like this may be exactly what the country needs going into the future. Emre Boz, TRT World.
Illegal gold mining in Ghana is one of the key issues that citizens want the incoming president to tackle. Experts warn the country could be forced to import water by 2030 due to the pollution caused by these dangerous and illegal activities. Grace Courier-Kanja reports from Accra.
I am prepared to put my presidency on the line on this matter.
That was outgoing Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo's pledge on curbing illegal gold mining, locally known as galamsey. But 8 years down the line,
it's going on because there's no will to stop it. People are looking at short gain, the little money they are getting, forgetting the long-term devastation on the environment.
Galamsey became popular in 1989 after a law that formalized artisanal mining was introduced. It gradually became a major source of employment to more than 1 million people. But over the years, due to a surge in miners and machinery, it has had a negative impact on the environment and Ghana's cocoa industry. While illegal gold mining isn't happening here in the capital, Accra, residents worry about its ripple effect from the water they drink to the food they eat, which affects their health. Experts also attribute the rising temperatures of the climate crisis to illegal gold mining. They say their capacity to supply clean water to some parts of Ghana has gone down by 75%.
The reason why Ghana company is saying that we might be at risk of buying water, what they are saying is that soon, at this rate, we won't even be able to remove the substance that makes the water brown from the water bodies. We just can't do it.
Illegal gold mining accounts for more than 30% of the annual output from Africa's largest gold producer, which means the country is losing billions of dollars in tax revenues.
There are many refineries in Ghana that can actually refine all our outputs. But global standards today prohibits gold from non-traceable sources. So if you have about 40% of your gold coming from illegal mining, you cannot sell to Switzerland or you cannot sell to London, where the bullion market actually resides.
To improve the drainage system.
During his first term, President-elect John Mahama formed a task force to curb the illegal mining. He also expelled more than 160 Chinese nationals accused of taking part in it. He now promises to ban illegal and new mining activities in forest reserves while creating more opportunities for small-scale miners. Grace Courier-Kanja, TRT World.
Electric vehicle giant Tesla has been on a slump after recording the first drastic fall in annual deliveries since 2011. That's despite CEO Elon Musk's prediction of, quote, slight increase in 2024. Punani Shasta has more.
It is the world's second biggest electric car maker. And not that long ago, it had waiting lists for its latest models. But the road ahead for Tesla suddenly seems to be bumpy. Its shares fell more than 7% after it reported its first drop in annual deliveries in more than a decade. Overall, Tesla delivered 495,570 vehicles in the 3 months to December 31st, missing estimates of 503,269 units, according to the analysts. And it produced about 7% fewer cars compared to a year earlier. Tesla was hurt by a cut in Europe's EV subsidies, a shift in the US to lower-priced hybrid vehicles, and tougher competition, especially from China.
There's a reason the company's share has declined from previous years, namely, other automakers are getting into the game more and more. Companies like GM, Honda, and others are offering a variety of electric vehicles now, especially at different price points and different styles.
Elon Musk is focused on building a self-driving taxi business in a move to boost Tesla's value. But self-driving technology is still under development, and experts say Tesla will have to rely on its current cars and success with the Cybertruck to achieve Musk's target of 20% to 30% sales growth in 2025. He also backed President-elect Donald Trump with millions of dollars in campaign donations, and analysts expect easier regulations from the new administration to help Tesla in the long run.
Elon's done an amazing job. Isn't it nice to have smart people that we can rely on? Don't we want that? He's done a great job.
Tesla shares rose after Trump's election with strong support from Musk. But despite the slight improvement in shares, Musk's trillion-dollar automaker is set to face even more struggles in 2025, with experts expecting the weakest annual bottom line figure since 2021. Pınar Nişasta, TRT World.
Well, that's all your business news for now. Thanks for watching. The news continues after Next Tech.